Have you ever felt like someone was genuinely interested in you, and then suddenly something changed? They stopped texting the same way. Their energy became colder. And no matter how many times you replay the connection in your head, you still can't figure out what happened. The hardest part is that people rarely tell you the real reason. They just slowly pull away. But psychology actually gives us powerful explanations for why people suddenly lose interest. Here are 7 psychological reasons this happens. Before we continue, it's important to understand something. When someone suddenly loses interest, our first instinct is to blame ourselves. We start asking questions like, did I do something wrong? Did I say something weird? Was I not interesting enough? But psychology shows that the real reasons are often much deeper than that. The first psychological reason people suddenly lose interest is something called the novelty effect. In the beginning, everything feels exciting because it's new. A new person, new conversations, new emotions. And that sense of novelty can create a powerful emotional high. But sometimes, people are not attached to the connection itself. They are attached to the excitement of something new. And when that excitement fades, their interest fades with it. The second psychological reason people suddenly lose interest is emotional validation. Sometimes, people are not truly attracted to you. They are attracted to how you make them feel. Maybe you made them feel admired, understood, or important. And those feelings can create the illusion of a deep connection. But when that emotional reward becomes smaller, their interest begins to fade. Because what they were really attached to was the feeling, not always the person. The third psychological reason people suddenly lose interest is something called overfamiliarity. In the early stages of a connection, mystery plays an important role. There is curiosity, anticipation, and a sense of discovery. But when everything becomes too predictable, too quickly, that sense of mystery disappears. And for some people, when curiosity disappears, their emotional attraction starts fading too. Because part of attraction comes from discovering someone over time, not having everything revealed at once. The fourth psychological reason people suddenly lose interest is avoidant attachment. Some people enjoy attention, they enjoy connection, and they enjoy emotional closeness at first. But when the relationship starts becoming deeper, something inside them begins to feel uncomfortable. Because emotional intimacy can trigger fear of vulnerability, fear of losing independence, or fear of being hurt. And instead of explaining those feelings, they slowly start pulling away. To the other person, it looks like sudden loss of interest, but internally, it may actually be fear of emotional closeness. The fifth psychological reason people suddenly lose interest is idealization. In the beginning of many relationships, people don't always see the real person. Instead, they see a projection. They imagine who you are, what the relationship could become, and how perfect everything might feel. And as long as that fantasy exists, their interest feels very strong. But eventually, reality begins to replace imagination. And when that happens, some people lose the excitement they felt in the beginning. Not because you changed, but because the fantasy disappeared. The sixth psychological reason people suddenly lose interest is emotional pressure. At the beginning of a connection, things usually feel light. Conversations are easy, expectations are low, and everything feels natural. But sometimes, the emotional intensity grows too quickly. One person may begin expecting more attention, more reassurance, or more commitment. And when someone feels that pressure too early, they may begin to pull away. Not because they never liked you, but because the connection started to feel overwhelming. The seventh psychological reason people suddenly lose interest is that the interest was never as deep as it seemed. In the beginning, some people invest a lot of attention. They text often, they show excitement, and they create the feeling of strong attraction. But sometimes, that early intensity is not the same as genuine emotional investment. Some people simply enjoy the excitement of the moment. They enjoy the attention, the flirting, and the emotional rush. But when that excitement fades, their interest fades as well. Because intensity is not always the same as commitment. The seventh psychological reason people suddenly lose interest is that the interest was never as deep as it seemed. In the beginning, some people invest a lot of attention. They text often, they show excitement, and they create the feeling of strong attraction. But sometimes, that early intensity is not the same as genuine emotional investment. Some people simply enjoy the excitement of the moment. They enjoy the attention, the flirting, and the emotional rush. But when that excitement fades, their interest fades as well. Because intensity is not always the same as commitment. If someone suddenly loses interest, our first instinct is often to blame ourselves. We start wondering what we did wrong. But the truth is, human behavior is often more complicated than that. Sometimes interest fades because the novelty disappears. Sometimes fear of intimacy appears. And sometimes the connection simply wasn't as deep as it seemed. But understanding these psychological patterns can help you see relationships more clearly. And sometimes, someone losing interest is not a loss. It is simply clarity.